The Devils are already 2-0 in the season, but they have their first game in the U.S. tonight against the Maple Leafs. So let's talk about some Devils hockey with Alex Chauvancy, writer for the New Jersey Devils on the Rush. My man, they're back, not only at the Rock, but just back in the United States, man. What's going on, man? How you feeling today?
Not much. Good. How about you?
All is well, man. Ready for some Devils hockey to be here in the United States. But before we talk about the Maple Leafs, what do you think about the 2 wins out in Prague?
So those were 2 pretty impressive wins in Prague. I thought the Devils looked a lot better than they did during the preseason. They were kind of struggling a little bit in the preseason, and it made you wonder how they were going to come out to start those first 2 games. But they were the better team for pretty much all 6 periods they played against the Buffalo Sabres. I thought their defense was pretty impressive considering they didn't have Luke Hughes or Brett Pesce available to them, and they got the goaltending they needed from Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen too, which was a huge issue for them last season. So that was definitely a positive, and it's good to see some depth players like Jonathan Kovacevic and Paul Cotter stepping up. You know, I think that was kind of a bit of a question mark heading into those 2 games, but they'd be able to get some contributions from guys not like Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, but they got contributions from pretty much everyone. So it was definitely a good start to the season.
What are some of the negatives coming out of those 2 games? Anything there that's kind of eye-opening or may have raised some alarms going forward in the season?
Not too much. I think the only one that I maybe kind of was a small red flag for me was how they played the 3rd period in the first game. They kind of sat back there, but they also had a 3-0 lead, so they could afford to do that, especially with the goaltending they had. Jacob Markstrom, I think when you have a 3-0 lead, you can afford to do that a little more than you did last season when you didn't have the goaltending or you weren't expecting to get saves. But I don't really think that's going to be an issue for them moving forward. I think they're going to play pretty aggressive whenever they need to. So for me, that's probably just a minor red flag. And it was because it was only 1 game. If it continues, then maybe it's something they need to address. But for now, everything looks good from those 2 games.
All right, small sample size. So who are some guys that you feel like are going to need to carry this team this season?
Yeah, so the usual guys obviously need Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, Nico Hischier to do their things. Having a healthy Dougie Hamilton helps, of course, too. They need him to produce from the back end. But they really need someone like Dawson Mercer to step up. Even though he had 20 goals last season, it was not a good year for him. They need him to bounce back and be at least a 25-goal scorer, 50-point scorer, somewhere around there. Because if you look at like the middle of their lineup, there's some questions with some scoring with Tomas Tatar and Andre Palat. If those guys don't produce, they might need to add something at the trade deadline. Obviously, that's still far away, but they definitely need Dawson Mercer to step up and be much better than he was last season.
All right, first game this season on U.S. soil. Maple Leafs are in town tonight, so break it down for us, man. How did the Devils come out with win number 3? Yeah,
so the Maple Leafs, even though they lost 1-0 last night, they looked quite good. They fired 47 shots on goal. Just Sam Montembeault was crazy good in net for the Canadians. They generated, I think, like over 5 expected goals. So there was a lot of quality chances, too. They weren't just firing random shots on net. So it'll be a test for the Devils, especially since Hughes and Pesce are still out. Neither of them are going to be playing tonight. I think, you know, with Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, this will be a good test for their, I guess, shorthanded defense to see how they can do against a really potent top 6 that the Maple Leafs have. Because even though they're on a second half of the back-to-back, I think they're probably going to put a lot of pressure on the Devils defensively, especially on that bottom pair of Seamus Casey and Simon Nemeth. That's a little bit inexperienced. So Sheldon Keefe will have to try to get those guys in favorable matchups if he can, since he has the last change on home ice. But it should be a good test, early measuring stick for the Devils. I think Maple Leafs probably one of the favorites to win the Atlantic Division this year, and they have a lot of high-end talent that could give them some trouble.
All right, Alex, thanks for breaking that down for us, man. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at AlexC_NJD, or you can follow the @NJD_on the Rush account too. I don't tweet from there as often, but if you're looking for one of my articles, I always post them there too, and the podcast always goes there as well.
All right, man. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.